Good day. My name is Ren Earth-London Lee, and I'm currently doing some work on a specific subject. And before I go further, I want to put out a little bit of it just to get some feedback on it, just to see where I'm at with it. The subject that I was studying is completely opposite for what we're about to do, but it served as sort of a philosopher's stone for this subject that we're about to get into, that I need feedback on. I was able to see things in a different way, and it reminded me of it. So without mentioning it whatsoever, it just reminded me of it, and I went to it, and this is what I found after looking through the lens that I was looking through before. So I hope that everything is legible enough. I had a short time to do it. I wanted to hurry up and get it out there and see what I get back, or what it looks like to you guys, and then move forward. So hopefully it's legible enough. It should be. The font should be big enough, and I'll keep my hand to the side to guide just in case, so you don't get lost or anything. Hopefully you can stay with me. So as soon as we open up, your perceptions are gonna do their thing and take over and say, oh, this is about this and this is about that. Relax. Just let it work. Try to make it, short enough or short as possible. Other than that, let's see. The quick writing, your perceptions, and don't die. You'll know more about that later, what that means later. So just stay with me. So the first thing that I'm going to do is go to the first page of Genesis. But the point of this is, what I want to do, what I'm doing now is, I need to focus on the operational part of God, what God does as far as His actions and movements, emotions, and happenings, and how He operates and what He operates through, and put that under a microscope for a bit. For instance, for example, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning is the space and time in which the happening happened. In the beginning is the space and time. God, the entity, created what He's doing, the operation of God, the heaven and the earth. That's the results of what He was doing, results of the creation. So in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Right. So we're sticking to, just for this video specifically. There's other things as we go through. I'll point out other things that are in another book. So we'll go here. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. So in the beginning, God created. He added these two things into existence. In the beginning, God added the heaven and the earth into existence. And God said, let there be light. He added light into existence, and there was light. And God saw, which is the introduction of the ability to perceive things, just like how our eyes work. With light, we're able to perceive things. With light, our eyes work. We're able to process the data that surrounds us, or what we perceive. So when God created the light, then He saw that the light was good. So that's the introduction of perception. I want you to hold on to that for a second. That's important, to hold on to the perception. So in the beginning, God created. He added heaven and earth to existence. Then He added light into existence. So we'll go here. Straight. Operations of God. In the beginning, God added. So let's say, I'm going to do this. Give me a color. God heaven and earth. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. Good is another thing. There's another entity in here. Good. What is good? Good is a positive standing. When someone says, I'm good, or something is good, they have, the foundation of it is a positive outlook of it, a positive energy about it. An energy, positive energy, and that it was good. God had a positive energy about it because it is energy. Energy is based out of science, right? Energy is a science. It's based off of a science. So, the math of the plus is addition. The science of the plus is positive. And you have a charge or anything with electrical charges, you have a negative and you have a positive. The positive is always represented by the plus. How is it represented? By the same symbol of addition. It's the exact same symbol. They're represented by the same race, by the same make and model, by the same thing. Addition and positivity is what God is operating from here. And God saw the light, that it was good. That is an operation of God. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and separated the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And it was so, meaning, and it was done. That was it. And God divided the light from the darkness. So now we have yet another operation. He starts to divide. So, divided the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and separated the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. Basic stuff, we all know this, I know. But I need you to remember the basic science of it for later. It'll be important for later. So I'm going to go through this elementary stuff really quick, just to make sure you stay with it. 2 quarters together, divided. These are the 2 units, the math of it. The space that creates division is the science of division. So you have the 2 quarters together. They're together. Now they're divided. The space creates the division. So the 2 units here, 2 digits here are 1 part of it. That's the math of it. The 2. The math of it. And the space between is the science. The space creates the division. So that's the math and science of division. Science is to separate or okay. So God divided the waters and also pointed out the science of it. And God made the firmament and separated the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. So he made a point to point out the math of it, divide, and the science of it, which is separation or creating a space between with the firmament. So, addition first, the first 4, the second 4, he goes into division. 2 operations of God, which happen to be 2 symbols of operation of basic arithmetic, which is addition, division, multiplication, subtraction. So we have 2 here. Right after that, he goes into, like from here, he goes on to a creative spree of adding things with the positive energy. All the way into verse 22, he adds land, called it earth, saw it was good. Added, saw it was good, positive. He added grass, brought forth herb-yielding seed of its kind. He added the fruit and the seed of its kind, and saw that it was good. More addition, more positivity. Through verse 18, he added the sun, moon, and the stars. And God saw that it was good. Again, he saw that it was good, positive energy, added more things, sun, moon, and the stars. Verse 19 through 21, God creates and adds every moving creature, great whale, and every fowl that fly above the earth. The eye here, he saw that it was good. I stopped writing, he saw that it was good and put an eye. I hope you can see it, make it out. I really need you to remember the perception part of this. He saw that it was good. Perception is a very important thing here. So here, we go through a bunch of addition, we go through a bunch of this again. And then we start at 22. It goes into verse 22. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. And fill the waters and the seas, let the fowl multiply in the earth. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle and everything that creepeth on the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. God later tells man, be fruitful and multiply. Multiplication. So now we have the introduction of multiplication. The math of multiplication are the digits, just like division. And the science of it is to add from. That's why the X is the plus turning. The X is the plus turned to the side because it's turning, because multiplication is to add of or add from seed of its kind. Be fruitful and multiply and bring forth the living creature after his kind, the cattle and the beasts of the earth after its kind. Like 2 times 2, you're multiplying by the digit already. The 2 already exists. So you're adding from. Again, elementary stuff, yeah, you know, but I need you to remember this for later on. So, to add from. Or of. Multiplication is addition, creating more, adding from itself. It's multiplication. Now, for this section, closing out, so already we have God creating. Go back real quick. Already we have God creating through addition, math and science here, verses 1 through 4, division, verses 4 through 8, or 5 through 8, or 9, whatever, and multiplication. He adds again through here all the way to verse 22, and then multiplication again. Not again. He introduces multiplication right here. So not only are these the operations of God, these have now become the operations of arithmetic. Basic functions and operations of arithmetic. Addition, division, multiplication, and subtraction. So God is operating through these. And God said, let us make man in our image and after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and over the cattle and over all the earth and over every creeping thing on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. And God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. Being a skeptic before, or people who know or have questions about the Bible, quarrels with it, whatever you want to call it. That's always been a question. What does God mean by making man in his image or after his likeness? What does that mean? Does God look like us? Why does it say, or why does God say specifically, and it doesn't change throughout any scripture, to make man in our likeness, in our image? The answer has always been there, because we've always known phrases and quotes and things like, you've only scratched the surface, and don't judge a book by its cover. Judge a man by the content of his character and not the color of his skin. It's not what's on the outside, but what's on the inside that counts. Those type of things are the answer to that question. And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. We have to look deeper, because he never tells us what his skin looks like, if any. God doesn't have he doesn't tell you what kind of skin he has, or he doesn't give you a cover of a book or a book cover to judge from. So we have to judge off of the operations of God, the content of his character, what lies beneath. And what lies beneath this basic first page, which has been basic for ages. In the beginning, God created heaven and the earth. That's not the main point. The main point are the operations. So, he made man in our image. What is God? If the lights were off, if it was pure darkness, you'd have to feel around to see where you are. You have to touch these things to give you an idea of what kind of place you're in and where you're at. The same thing is not judging a book by its cover, or looking deeper into a subject to find out its truth and what it's about. This is what God does. Addition, division, addition, and multiplication. First 4 verses, he adds. Second 4, he divides. Third, he adds again. Then he goes into multiplication. Made man in our likeness, after our image. This is what he's done. Man made after God and his image. Addition, division, addition, multiplication. In the Old Testament, it is spelled A-D-A-M with the apostrophe, which I like better to fit with this theory. A-D-A-M. Addition, division, addition, and multiplication. That's what Adam was made from. That's the image of God, the operations of God. The likeness of God is made from these operations of arithmetic. Addition, division, addition again, by the scripture. This isn't chopped up, this isn't broken up, this isn't picking and choosing things. This is straight through. There's no breaks. There's no breaks in it whatsoever. In the beginning, the first 4 verses, the operations of God is the plus symbol, addition and positivity, all represented by one symbol, plus. The second one, division and separation, the math and science of division, he does in the second 4. Then he goes into, he added the land, the water and the seas, called it good, added grass, saw it was good. More of this, addition and positive energy. Then right after that, he goes into multiplication. The very next verse, it's not broken, it's not picked and thrown in here through pieces. This is straight through. If you open the book, if you open the scripture, it's going straight through. He does it by addition, division, addition, and multiplication. And then right after, immediately after the last multiplication, that's verse 24. And bring forth the living creature after his kind, and the beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. verse 24. Verse 25 is, and God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle and everything that creepeth on the earth after his kind. Be fruitful and multiply. That's what that whole section is, 25. Verse 26, and God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So as soon as he gets done multiplying, then he makes man. A-D-A-M, addition, division, addition, and multiplication. That's the image. That's the likeness of God. This is what God is, math and science. So the first thing that I want to say when finishing this is, or getting to this point is, does this kind of put the idea or the stance of being a science person or being a religious person, does that put that on shaky ground? Because if a person says, well, I'm not a religious person, or I don't believe in God, I believe in science. Well, God obviously invented science. Well, it's in the beginning, so God is either these symbols, he's either math and science, or at the very least creates math and science. So that puts the whole belief, I don't believe in God. Well, yeah, you do. If you believe in science, then you believe in God. Or if you don't believe in God and you believe in science, then you believe in something that God created. Obviously, it's right here. These are the words. I just wrote it out on paper. Hopefully big enough for you to see, big enough for you to stick with it. These symbols break down the very first page of Genesis, or the operations. Now, so that should put the science versus religion on shaky ground. But there's a bigger point to it. Using these, we're able to decipher a little bit more going forward. And I'll do that here. Give me a second. Let me. I've recorded this a number of times, so the video never goes to full length. So I'm going to stop here at the end of the Adam Arithmetic and then connect the video doing the next 2 pages. It'll be done right after this. 2 more pages, we'll get into a little bit more, and the questions that I need you to answer afterward will be part of that next video. So this is the first one. The operations of God are the arithmetic, or the operations of arithmetic, the same thing as the operations of arithmetic. He adds first, divides second, adds again, all the way to verse 22, and then begins to multiply right after that. Verse 26, he creates man after his image. His image is these symbols, or what he does, what he is, how he operates, what we know of him is this, the operations of arithmetic. And the first letter of each of the math of them, is Adam, and he created man. So this is what I call an Adam arithmetic. This is part 1 of 2. The second one will put all this into meaning, what it really means in the bigger picture.